Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about a thriller movie which is named Midnight. Late at night, a young woman leaves work after staying late. As she spots a taxi, a group of men jump in before she can, leaving her with no choice but to walk home. As she takes a dark route, a van pulls up beside her. The driver, Dushik, offers her a ride. She refuses, wary of getting into a stranger's vehicle, but as she walks further, she hears strange noises. Turning around, she notices the van's door is open, and someone inside is crying for help. Curious, she approaches, only to find a pile of clothes and a dead body. The noises were actually made by Dushik, who grabs her and drags her into the van to kill her before she can escape. Later, Dushik, now in clean clothes, calls 911 and pretends to be in distress. He tells the arriving officers that he discovered the bodies by accident and saw a group of workers stab the woman. A few days later, Kim Kyung-mi is back at her job in customer service. She's a deaf woman and handles calls from other deaf and mute customers through sign language via video calls. Despite her skills, she still has to deal with rude customers. After work, she attends a company dinner where the men at the table make crude comments about her, thinking she can't understand. However, Kyung-mi can read lips and signs back insults that they mistake for compliments. Choi Seo-young is getting ready to go out in a different area of the city when she runs into an argument with her brother, Jong-tak, who is security guard, about what to wear and when she can return home, because he has been overly protective of her since their parents passed away. She makes a commitment to be good, but she subsequently breaks her word and doesn't return home as early as she said she would after her date. Then Jong-tak decides to go look for her as she doesn't answer her phone either. After dinner, Kyung-mi picks up her deaf mother from her job at a tailor's shop. She saves her mom from being hit by a bike, thanks to her car's sound sensor. Her mother is thrilled because she earned a good paycheck this month. Meanwhile, Dushik is out hunting for his next victim. He spots Kyung-mi leaving her mother near an alarm post while she parks the car and decides to follow her. However, when Seo-young appears on the same street, he changes his target. He quickly attacks Seo-young, unnoticed by Kyung-mi's mother, who is walking in the opposite direction and can't hear anything. After dealing with Seo-young, Dushik moves toward Kyung-mi's mother, but his plans are interrupted when Jong-tak shows up asking if she's seen his sister. After getting a negative answer, he leaves, and Kyung-mi returns from the parking lot. On her way to meet her mother, Kyung-mi notices a white shoe sticking out from a dark alley. Although she can't hear it, someone is also calling for help. When a second shoe appears, Kyung-mi enters the alley and finds Seo-young, bleeding and crying. Before she can react, Dushik emerges with an axe and tries to attack Kyung-mi, but Seo-young pushes him away, giving Kyung-mi a chance to run. Instead of heading toward her mother, Kyung-mi runs in the opposite direction to protect her. She hides in the parking lot and carefully tries to open a squeaky door, but Dushik hears the noise and chases her. Fortunately, she slips through the door just in time, leaving Dushik behind. Kyung-mi reaches her car and calls her mother, telling her to wait by the alarm post. But just after hanging up, Dushik appears in the back seat with a knife. He forces her to drive, but instead of leaving the building, Kyung-mi drives toward a wall, stopping just in time to escape. A chase ensues, and Kyung-mi manages to reach her mother before Dushik can catch her. When Kyung-mi presses the alarm button, Dushik retreats to his van. He hides Seo-young's body in the van, changes his appearance to look like a businessman, and casually approaches Kyung-mi and her mother. Since the killer had been masked and wearing a hat, Kyung-mi doesn't recognize him when he claims to be looking for his sister. She's about to lead him to the dark alley when the police arrive, but the alley is empty. Kyung-mi asks to see the security footage, but the parking lot guard reveals the cameras were turned off by some kids who hang around to smoke. The three of them are taken to the station to file a proper report. In the elevator, Dushik glances at his weapons bag, catching the attention of Kyung-mi's mother, who notices he doesn't seem as distressed anymore. To maintain his cover, Dushik pulls out a black phone and pretends to receive a text from his sister, implying the body wasn't hers. After only a few moments, Kyung-mi finished her statement, but the policeman seems restricted in what she can do in the absence of the killer's physical attributes or body. Dushik tries to assist with that, but the policeman chastises him for interjecting into other people's remarks. Additionally, the hobo who has been camped out on a neighboring couch seizes the opportunity to make fun of him for it. Dushik, seeing an opening, walks over to the water cooler and, as he selects a cup, insults the hobo in a quiet voice to avoid being heard by the cop. The man becomes enraged by this and jumps towards Dushik, and try to hit him. During the scuffle, Dushik drops a white phone, which Kyung-mi's mother picks up. The cop breaks up the fight, and Dushik retrieves his phone, then uses the excuse of checking Kyung-mi's statement to access her personal information. Meanwhile, Kyungmi's mother signs to her daughter that it's suspicious for Do-shik to have two different phones. When he notices them communicating, he demands to know what they're saying, but Kyungmi writes nothing. Just then, a cop arrives with Jong-tak, who is reporting his missing sister. The officer shows the others her picture, which matches Kyungmi's description. And Do-shik pretends he hasn't seen her before. But Kyungmi immediately recognizes her and gives Jong-tak more details. When the cop leaves the room to deal with the hobo, Do-shik threatens Kyungmi's mother, then he reveals her what's in his bag as he approaches her daughter with a knife, warning her not to move or he'll kill her daughter. But the mother makes a loud noise that alerts the others. Jong-tak intervenes just in time, stopping the knife and engaging in a fight with Do-shik while the women run outside to call for help. During the struggle, Do-shik admits to hurting Seo-young, which enrages Jong-tak. He furiously beats Do-shik and even holds the knife to his neck, demanding to know where his sister is, but they are interrupted by the police. Do-shik plays the victim, and because of the compromising position, the officers believe him, arresting Jong-tak instead. After that, Do-shik walks free. While the women stay with Jong-tak as the police review the security footage and realize they were telling the truth. Jong-tak returns to the streets to search for his sister, and the police escort the women back to their apartment, which is equipped with motion-sensing lights. While Kyungmi and her mother are enjoying some tea, the motion-activated lights signal that someone is at the door, which makes them anxious since it's quite late. But it appears that the visitor is only the mother's co-worker picking up some bags. The two old women go together, leaving Kyungmi alone herself in the apartment. She is unaware that Do-shik has already come and has damaged the door's sensor, preventing the light from revealing where he is. But Do-shik detects his footsteps inside, so when Kyungmi leaves her room to look into it, he pretends that the lights are on because he set off an alarm clock. Once Kyungmi returns to her room, Do-shik continues disabling the other sensors in the house while she texts Jong-tak, who had given her his card in case she needed help. Do-shik, now armed with an axe, prepares to strike. But Kyungmi notices that a toy on the dresser is moving without the lights reacting to it. Realizing something is wrong, she turns around just in time to dodge Do-shik's attack. She flees to another room, barricades the door with a dresser, and sends a text to Jong-tak saying the murderer is in her house. She also tries to warn her mother not to return, but as the shaking at the door stops, she receives a message saying her mother is already there and found the door open. Worried her mother is in danger, Kyungmi starts moving the dresser back, but as more texts from her mother asking for help come in, she notices that the spelling is perfect, unlike her mother's usual texts. She realizes that Do-shik has her mother's phone. She stops moving the dresser just in time for Do-shik to appear at the door gap. He tries to grab her hand, but she manages to pull it back and lock the door in his face. This only delays him momentarily. Do-shik starts hacking at the door with his axe to break in. With no other escape route, Kyungmi jumps out the window, but Do-shik grabs her by the hair as she falls. She struggles free, causing her to land safely in a pile of trash below. Kyungmi takes off running, with Do-shik in pursuit, and Jong-tak soon joins the chase. After sprinting through several blocks, Do-shik corners Kyungmi in a dead end. Just as he's about to strike, Jong-tak arrives. To prevent Jong-tak from attacking him, Do-shik holds his knife to his own throat, threatening to kill himself, which would mean Jong-tak would never find out where his sister is. As Jong-tak hesitates, Do-shik sends a text with Seo-young's supposed location, forcing Jong-tak to choose between saving her or Kyungmi. Jong-tak apologizes to Kyungmi and rushes off to the address given, which turns out to be Kyungmi's house. However, the place is empty, and Jong-tak only encounters Kyungmi's mother when she returns. Meanwhile, back at the scene, Kyungmi tries to defend herself with a discarded chair, but Do-shik overpowers her and uses the chair to pin her down. As he taunts Jong-tak over the phone for abandoning her, Kyungmi grabs a handful of dirt and throws it in Do-shik's face, using the distraction to push him off and make another desperate run for it. When Kyungmi reaches the street where Do-shik's van is parked, she sees the door open, and Seo-young emerges, holding a knife and asking for help. Meanwhile, Kyungmi's mother and Jong-tak arrive at the enclosed area but find it empty. The two girls hide in an alley behind a trash container. Kyungmi urges Seo-young to call 911, but Seo-young hesitates because she hears Do-shik nearby, realizing that he has discovered the van is empty. Kyungmi quickly devises a plan. She types a message on her phone, instructing Seo-young to call her brother, who is close by. She then hands the phone to Seo-young and takes the knife. While Do-shik's back is turned, she reappears just as Do-shik is about to find Seo-young, distracting him by making a strange noise and rattling a metal shutter. To further divert his attention, she presses the knife to her own neck, threatening to take her own life and deny him the satisfaction. Dushik chases after her, and Kyungmi triggers the alarm on a nearby pole before running off again. Meanwhile, Seo Young calls her brother for help, and he and Kyungmi's mother rush to rescue her with an ambulance. Seo Young informs them of the direction Kyungmi has taken. This time, Kyungmi heads toward downtown, hoping the presence of more people will make it harder for her to be caught. She struggles to cross a busy street, unable to hear the oncoming traffic, but eventually makes it to the other side and into a commercial area. Desperate, she tries to ask people for help, but they ignore her since she can't speak. With Dushik closing in, Kyungmi pulls out the knife to defend herself, causing the crowd to form a circle around them. A man in the crowd attempts to call the police, but Dushik intervenes, claiming Kyungmi is his sister who has mental health issues and that the police would only frighten her into harming herself. Taking advantage of this distraction, Kyungmi escapes. However, the police soon find her and return her to Dushik, believing his story about her being his sister. They even hand the knife back to him. Once the police leave, Kyungmi begins to cry and with the few sounds she can make, explaining she still has so much to live for. Unwilling to kill her in front of others, Dushik drags her to a nearby alley. He admits she almost convinced him to spare her, but not quite, and prepares to stab her. Fortunately, Jong Tak arrives just in time to stop him. The two men engage in a fierce fight, with Jong Tak eventually putting Dushik in a chokehold until he passes out. Jong Tak then checks on Kyungmi, assuring her that Seo Young is safe at the hospital and her mother is nearby. Suddenly, Dushik, who had only been pretending to be unconscious, attacks Jong Tak with empty bottles and other debris. Kyungmi manages to stop him by picking up the knife, prompting Dushik to leave the alley and go after her mother instead. Dushik finds Kyungmi's mother in the middle of the commercial area and tries to lure her into a dark alley. Just then, Kyungmi spots them and charges at Dushik with the knife. Although she only manages to wound his hand, it was part of her plan. She stabs herself with the knife while it's in his hand, making it appear as though he attacked her. The crowd, witnessing the scene, believes Kyungmi's ruse and ignores Dushik's protests of innocence. The police arrive and fire warning shots into the air, but when Dushik refuses to stop, they shoot him in the body multiple times. Even then, Dushik isn't entirely subdued, and Kyungmi further provokes him by giving him the finger. As Dushik prepares to attack again, Jang Tak suddenly arrives and tackles him to the ground, where he finally dies. Many days later, Kyungmi and her mother finally go on the beach vacation they had dreamed of. Seo Young and Jong Tak join them, and after showing that they have been learning some sign language, the four of them take a picture together, celebrating their newfound bond. Thanks for watching everyone and take care.